Hey everybody, listen to the Katana Podcast with me, of course, Invisible Katana. First off, I want to note if it sounds different to you guys, if you actually listen to the other episodes, the reason it sounds different is because, like an idiot, I forgot my microphone, so I'm actually using my video camera to record, just, of course, in like the microphone mode, so that's why it sounds different and most likely a little bit crappier compared to the other episodes I've done. But just to get right into things, I want to talk about odd hobbies. Like, there's always something that we have where it's like, to you, it might be normal. To other people, it's not so normal. Like, for me personally, I'm like the nerdiest person in my family, pretty much. So, anything I do is kind of out of the ordinary. It's a pretty odd hobby, anything I like to do. But, of course, I want to know what you guys would consider odd hobbies that you have, whether, it's nerdy or not, just other people think it's odd, or even if you yourself know it's odd, but, you do it because you love it anyway. Please put those down in the comments below. But the first one I wanted to talk about that I have, and I guess this could be argued that it's not really a hobby because it's not like I've been doing it for years, but I have 4 katanas, which is a lot compared to anyone else that I know. I think there's like one other person I know, and he's nerdy like I am. But as far as like family members go, I'm pretty much the only person that probably owns a katana in my entire family. So it seems like it would be kind of weird. Like, I've only done it, like I said, I have 4. I only do it once a year. I actually get all my katanas from the anime conventions I go to, so I don't really like look up katanas in the middle of the year like I really got to get me one of those or anything. But I do like katanas, and that started because, of course, you love samurai, you love ninja and things like that. The weapons are awesome. It's like, I want some of those weapons. I have some kunai too, which are the daggers for anyone who doesn't know, and I have like one shuriken, but it's like a weird fancy one where you actually unlatch the blades and stuff, so it's not like a normal one. But that could be considered an odd hobby that I have. I collect katanas, so to speak. Like I said, I've only been doing it for like a couple years. I only have 4, so it's not like crazy and out of control. But one that I couldn't even argue with is that I do collect video games, and that's because video games are such a giant part of my life. I've always played them, and like, I have an Atari that I got from my uncle, and honestly, I think it has a power cord, and that's it. So I don't have any other cords. But honestly, it was just like, hey, it's an Atari. It doesn't really need to have any games, which I probably wouldn't play anyway because, they'd probably suck. But, it's like, it doesn't have to have games or a joystick or any of that. It's just, I own an Atari now, so that's kind of cool to me because I'm an uber nerd. But that's definitely something that you could say I have an odd hobby with, or hobbies and habits is kind of the same thing when you really think about it. But, for instance, me using the same hat that I have in pretty much all my videos except for like some of my gaming ones, but like my Back to the Future hat, it's become a habit for me to wear it, but at the same time it's a hobby that I wear it because I like to wear it. Even it's not just for videos, like I wear it all the time. And I got it earlier this year actually at an anime convention, of course. And ever since then, I think it maybe took like a month or so, and it was like, I got this hat, and I've never been big on hats. Like, I love Kango hats, which I always thought were pretty cool, and, those aren't super big anymore like they used to be when I was younger. But I always liked those. Those look pretty cool to me. But I got this hat, and it was like, I might as well wear it. I mean, what's the point of buying it and not actually wearing it? It's a hat. So I just start wearing it every day, and unfortunately, with it, being winter now, and I live in Michigan, so, getting hit with Michigan winters, I had to kind of retire the hat as far as everyday use goes, and, forego normal winter hat style, which isn't as entertaining, but, you have to do it because it's freaking freezing. It's already, like, in the 20s, which seems really weird to me. I mean, I know it's November. It's November 21st, so it probably should be around the time where it starts to get really cold, but it just kind of sucks. It seemed like it came out of nowhere too. There was no really light snow day. It was like, oh, there's a little bit, and then nothing for a while. We had like a little bit one day, and then I think the very next day it started to really snow, and it's like, if your car was sitting, then you actually have to brush it off, and once that happens, it's kind of automatic, like, yep, time to retire, like, unfortunately. But with the videos that I do, and me kind of having it as a staple in all my videos now, I have to still, I still have to carry it around all the time. So that's kind of a weird thing that I have to do now too, which, once again, a habit, a habit or a hobby that I have now, which once again is weird. But those are like the 2 big ones, really. Like, me And comic books, I don't have like a big hobby with comic books, and that's simply because I can't afford to just buy all the comics I want to, like a lot of people can't. So I do have like some omnibus things. I've got like for The Walking Dead, I have the compendiums, which are, you can get them for 60. I tend to just wait until they're cheaper, and you can find them on Amazon for like $30. And you get those, they're probably around 20, actually 25 I think I got them for. But you get those, and it's, I believe, like 96 issues. They're giant things. They're unbelievably amazing to actually go through and read, because the pages are just huge, and it's great detail. So it's actually really cool having them. But I wouldn't call that a hobby personally, because like I said, I don't really go like every week. I don't go like New Comic Day or anything like that, or stuff like that. I know about it, of course, because I'm nerdy, but I don't really go to comic book stores to get new comics. But I definitely go buy games. I go to midnight releases for them if I have the money, of course, and I can go. And I actually have the console, which unfortunately is something I have to redo basically now that we have a new generation of games. But those are like my two weird little hobbies. And I guess YouTube is a hobby that I have too now. I guess it's not a weird one, because I mean, of course, tons of people do YouTube, but at the same time, no one I know does it, so it makes it weird in its own right, because I'm the only one doing it in my family. But like I said, if you guys have any sort of weird hobbies, whether they're weird because you're the only one that does it, or they're weird because they're flat out weird, you do some weird stuff, maybe you collect toenails, I don't know, you might be a freak. If you have any, please put them down in the comments below, and have a little discussion with me. My next topic is actually a little bit, admittedly, like way more serious, because it's more about how people want to be remembered. Like, how do you guys want to be remembered when honestly, when you die? Like, has it ever crossed your mind or anything like that? Because the reason I'm talking about this is because, of course, I lost someone in my family recently, and I'm going to the service tomorrow. And it just made me think about it. And I've never thought of this before. It's not, I've dealt with death in the family before, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have. But I think this was the first time I actually really thought about it, because there are always those little things you have where it's like, this person gave me this, and it's just a little thing that you have, and it makes you think of that person. But how would you want to be remembered? Like, just in general, like, how do you want to be remembered, whether it's good or bad? I don't know why anyone would want to be remembered as like the evil person, unless it's like, unless you're an anime character, which you are not. So sorry to burst that bubble, but you're not. But being remembered is kind of a big deal. For some people it's a big deal. For me personally, it's like, honestly, I'm dead, so it doesn't matter anymore. I'd like to be remembered as a decent human being. That would be nice, because some people just aren't, because they weren't decent human beings. That's a thing that happens. But how do you guys want to be remembered? And if you had a way, and this is the more fun side of this conversation, if you did have a way where you could choose it, and it was like weird video game style or anime style, how would you die? Like, if you could be like an anime character or something. Like, I thought about that the other week. Like, I would love it, if I had this crazy option, and of course, if it was a real option, I'd just do it, and I'd die having superpowers. It would be like a crazy, super epic battle type of thing, and it's like I died in battle or something, like sacrificing myself for a bunch of people so that they could survive and all that crazy stuff. And it would be pretty cool. It would suck to die, of course, but if you had to choose it, it's better to go out doing what you love. And even if it's fantasy wise, which is of course why I'm asking you guys, how would you do it? Would it be like in an anime? Would you be, honestly, the only thing that comes to mind is Naruto, and that's mostly because Naruto just ended, so it's kind of in my head a lot, and like the big battles and all that stuff. So would you be like an anime character where you're in like that giant ultimate battle, or would it be really simple where it's like something more realistic where you just go in your sleep or old age, stuff like that? I think with me asking this question, you kind of have to come up with something a bit more entertaining than, oh, I just went peacefully when I was like super, super old. But, what do you guys think? Like, has that ever crossed your mind? Is it something that, you think of often? And, have you ever thought of that? And does it, come across as something that, if you think about it a lot, is it something that affects you in your normal life? Like, how would I want to go, or when do you want to go? Things like that. Does that ever really pop into your head? And of course, I don't want to stick on this subject too much because it's, very dramatic and all of that stuff. So, it was just the little thing in the middle there to kind of throw out to you guys the realistic thing, because I don't think I've ever done anything serious. I mean, it's only 3 episodes, so it's not like I've had a ton of subjects to talk about anyway, but I just wanted to throw that out there because it's a real thing. We have to have real moments in life, so why not? I tend not to do that on my channel because I tend not to have any videos like this where I'm just talking about things that I like. It's always very specific to a show or something like that, and I might relate it to real life or something like that, but for the most part, I don't have anything where I just talk like this for real. And I did a long time ago when I had my other vlog, and that was once again just coming up with something, but I still don't think I had too many real serious moments, and that's of course going to be very rare in this podcast in general. But with having a serious moment like that in my life happening around me right now at this time, it was something that I felt I had to talk about at least for a little bit. And so just to move away excuse me, just to move away from all the drama and stuff, I'm gonna go right back into some nerdy things because the holidays are coming up, and I mentioned the Black Friday stuff already, and I'm super excited that I officially know what I'm getting now. I'm gonna actually get a brand new laptop, and I'm incredibly excited for that because it's gonna be a million times better than the one I have, and it's specifically a gaming laptop, and that's what I've been trying to get for the longest time. And hopefully if I can get some extra money, I will be getting a brand new camera as well. So if I get both of those, I'm going to be like, it's going to be like the perfect end to this year. I can, start the new year, have a new laptop that actually freaking, works and doesn't just give me the blue screen of death all the time. Even though all I'm doing is like, I'm on YouTube, I open up a new tab, it's like, oh, and it stopped. And it's like I have to do like an emergency exit out of my, off the internet, otherwise my laptop is going to screw up and shut down because somehow it's struggling to play this one freaking video. So I can't wait to get this new laptop. I know for sure I'm getting the laptop. The camera thing I'm kind of trying to work out with getting it as cheap as I possibly can, but I might end up just going to Walmart. But the reason I want to talk about that is because with it being the holidays are like the big time when everything comes out, especially electronic wise. It's like, here's the new whatever, and gaming wise, the holidays are the real big thing. And for people who like Assassin's Creed or hate Assassin's Creed, everyone knows that the new Assassin's Creed games came out. Both Unity and Rogue came out, and I love Assassin's Creed, I always have, and I really want both of these games. And I'm gonna end up getting Rogue because for some reason Walmart is already selling that junk for $25. I think I mentioned that in the Black Friday thing because it's kind of hard not to. That's crazy because the game just came out this month, and it's going to be on sale by the end of the month for less than half the cost of $25. So I'm excited to get Rogue. I really want to get Unity, but there, of course, you have to buy a new console to get Unity because it's only a next gen. But there's a ton of stuff that typically comes out, and I feel like this year was a really weird year for games because there's really nothing coming out. There's like no real big games coming out, and this is always the time because it's of course the holiday season. Everyone knows no matter what you're selling, whether it's games or furniture or whatever, the holidays are the big time. It's like everyone gets bonuses, everyone has time off to go shopping, everyone goes shopping especially for Christmas. But you have these two big days, which would be Black Friday and pretty much every day until Christmas after Black Friday. But you have all this time, and it's like stuff typically comes out, and it seems so weird to me that this year we haven't really had anything. We have some games that come out. You always have games coming out, whether it's big or not. But the only real big thing coming out for me has been Assassin's Creed. We had Destiny before that, which is unfortunately hasn't been like the biggest thing ever. Like it was meant to be like the new Halo and all that fancy stuff. It kind of just came out as crap for the most part. But we've had like one thing, and it's been Assassin's Creed, and we have the other big thing has really been the Halo Master Chief Collection, which is actually really cool. I actually do want that because I've never been really big into Halo, but something about this holiday season, it's just been so different to me that it's like, all right, I think last year there was so much stuff I wanted to get because I think I think last year was when like Batman was out for Arkham Origins and stuff like that. It was like I want Batman, I want the new Assassin's Creed, which of course at the time was 4, and a ton of other stuff which I already forgot. Like the new ADD generation. I already can't remember what happened last year and what games I was like craving over, and I probably got them and don't even remember what I got on Black Friday. But there are a lot of games that came out. There's always stuff that you're looking for, and there are other things that I do want. There are games that have come out, and we've had games recently like The Evil Within came out and Alien Isolation, and the thing is like those came out, and I guess this is really the time like just before the big holiday season. That is when the games tend to come out, but that's still really only like 3-4 games. We have like Destiny, like I mentioned, then The Evil Within, Alien Isolation, and Assassin's Creed, or I guess 4 or 5 games since there are 2 Assassin's Creed games. But it's not a lot like I normally feel. Like it's like, oh crap, I have to decide between this game, that game. There are 2 others, and I completely forgot about this, so sorry to any big Nintendo fans, but Smash Brothers did just come out, so that's definitely on the list. And Bayonetta 2 came out as well, so I guess that's 7 games. I guess I was kind of wrong, but it always feels like there's so much more. And maybe it's just the fact that I have no giant interest in, like, I didn't have any interest in Destiny or Alien Isolation. I was very curious. Like, I've seen a playthrough of both Alien Isolation and The Evil Within, but I had zero interest in getting those games. I've seen the games from beginning to end, and that was good enough for me. And then you have like the 2 Assassin's Creed games I really want. Smash Brothers, of course, it has 8-player Smash, so I can't wait to actually get that. Once again, have to have a Wii U to do that, so I don't really know how that's gonna pan out anyway. But the only game that I was really blown away by, where it's like I have to have this game, was Bayonetta 2. And as much as I love Assassin's Creed, I have all the Assassin's Creed games. I tend to get them like right when they come out, if I can afford it, of course. But I love Assassin's Creed and stuff. But Assassin's Creed, as much as I love the story, I love the games. Like I said, of course, I buy them all. It just doesn't hook me like Bayonetta did. And Bayonetta it still is. It's one of my favorite games ever. It's an insanely amazing action game. And one of the best things about this holiday season is the fact that when that game came out, it just has great reviews all across the board, and no one has said it's been crappy or anything like that. And that's just great to me, because it's like I love the first game. I've played through it maybe like almost 8 times, probably more than that. And I really want this second game, and that was where the struggle came in with the Black Friday stuff, because for whatever reason, the Wii U, like pretty much nothing for Nintendo seems to go on sale. Like Walmart isn't doing anything. GameStop itself, the place that sells games, has no deals with for the Wii U or getting anything. They have games for the Wii U that are on sale for like $20 cheaper. I saw something, it was like Duck Dynasty on the Wii U. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Are we lucky to have Duck Dynasty on sale, the video game on the Wii U on sale? But Bayonetta 2 is like the one really big thing where it's like I really, even more than Assassin's Creed Unity, as much as I love it, and the 4-player co-op and stuff, and just the new graphics and all this stuff about the game, Bayonetta 2 is like the thing I really want to get. It's like I want to play that freaking game so bad that it just makes me want a Wii U. And then Bayonetta 2 being like one of my favorite games of all, or Bayonetta 1 being one of my favorites, and then the sequel being better, considering all the reviews I've heard, that coupled with the fact that Smash Brothers has just come out, it's like I really, really want a Wii U right now. And it seems like right now is like, honestly, with Smash Brothers, it's always going to be the best time for Nintendo, no matter what console it is. But it's like just the perfect time to have a Wii U for me. And it's so weird that it's only for 2 games, but honestly, that's all it takes, like a couple of good games, and I will buy a whole system. And also it's the cheapest, so that never really hurts. But I want the Wii U so bad, and this has kind of completely changed from the whole holiday thing where there aren't a ton of games for me, but I do. It's like just me talking about how badly I want a Wii U, but I really do. And that's just one of the things with games in general, where it's like you have these certain games that make you want a certain system. And for me, it's honestly more than Smash Brothers. As much as I love it, it's the big party game, especially with the new Smash Brothers being 8 players on certain levels, and you can have everyone who's there. It's like, you know, no one has to give up the controller because they were the first one to die. It's like, we can all just go nuts and have fun. You know, as much as I love that, Bayonetta 2 is the one that makes me want the Wii U. And then there are games on the PS4 and Xbox One that make me want those as well. And really the one for Xbox One that I really want, that makes me just want the system no matter what, isn't even out yet, and it's actually Quantum Break, which is by the people who made Alan Wake, which is Remedy, and they have like some of my favorite games. They're the people that made Max Payne 1 and 2, so that'll probably help you guys more than saying Alan Wake, but they make like the best story-driven games to me ever, and it's just like the dialogue is always well done, the characters are likable, or you know, you dislike the characters because you're supposed to, just because it's well written. And I always love the game so much that the stories that you just go back to, like Max Payne 1 and 2 are just like two of the most popular games that have ever been made. It's not just like, oh, you can do awesome slow-mo moves. That did help, and it was like Max Payne kind of did bullet time and slow motion for video games. That was the one that kind of made it mainstream pretty much, to the point where it's just like almost oversaturated a little bit. I feel like that's kind of been relaxed for the past couple of years. People haven't just relied instantly on slow motion all the time. But, you know, Max Payne 1 and 2 are amazing. Alan Wake is, once again, one of my favorite games ever. And, you know, they have an amazing story for that game. It's a great, it's not exactly horror. It's more like thriller suspense type of thing. It has horror elements, but it's not like the scariest thing ever. But it has those moments where you do get freaked out. Like, you don't have weapons. You can't defend yourself. You gotta run and dodge, and it's really fun. Those are the tense horror moments, but it has great action moments. They always have like the greatest music too. Like Max Payne 2, the ending song for that game is unbelievable to me, and they use the same group in Alan Wake, which I just love the way they put so many references in Alan Wake to Max Payne and stuff, and it was just amazing. They even use like the same sound effects for locked doors at one point in the game, just because it's a reference to the Max Payne franchise, which I thought was just really cool on their part. But, you know, they're making Quantum Break, which I've seen a little gameplay of it. It looks really amazing. Like, it, once again, they're warping time and slow motion and stuff like that. It looks really cool to me. I really want that. They're even doing a TV show with it. I hope the TV show goes well, because the only other game that I can think of that has done a TV show is Defiance, and I love the show Defiance, but pretty much the game Defiance is almost always panned. Like, across the board, it was like, it's a pretty average game and not much to look forward to. But the TV show is absolutely amazing. I'm hoping it gets another season on Sci-Fi. I'm hoping they kind of keep that one around. Otherwise, I'm going to have to hate them, because then they would have canceled another great show like they did Alphas. But I won't get into that, which just makes me depressed because I love that show so much. But, you know, Quantum Break is the big one for Xbox One. And then for PS4, there are quite a few games that I want. Like, the two really big ones, honestly, are Infamous, which of course I wanted since I beat Infamous 2, and it's like, you know, it kind of sucked for me. Like, that was the one of the launch titles, and it was like, I'm gonna have to wait forever to play this game, and it just kind of taunted me every time the commercial came on, because it's like, the PS4 is coming out, and here's like the one really big game for it, and it's, you know, of course, the new Infamous, and it's like, man, all I want to do is play that game. And then the other that really has me hooked is Uncharted 4, which is coming out. I can't wait to play that because I love the Uncharted franchise as well. Once again, you know, great story-based franchise, and of course it carries along in the 4, and I can't wait to see some of the craziness that goes down in that game. Just, the graphics are going to look amazing. The character, Nathan Drake, he looks a little older in the trailer, the reveal trailer they had. It looks really great. So I'm excited for that. I'm really hyped up for those games, and it's just like, those are the couple, and it kind of sucks. Like, this is one of the things that of course sucks about exclusives on games, because of course Xbox One, the Quantum Break, unfortunately, is exclusive. Like, as much as I love Dead Rising 3, which was the one thing that I was interested in when the Xbox One came out, if Quantum Break was multi-platform, or, you know, it was only on PS4, it would just be another big thing. Like, all right, I don't need an Xbox One because, you know, they don't have anything but Dead Rising 3, which fortunately now is actually on PC, so I don't even need an Xbox One for Dead Rising 3 anymore, but I do technically need it for Quantum Break, sadly, unless that goes to PC, in which case, you know, if I don't have an Xbox One by the time that comes out and they announce it on PC, I'll definitely get it for PC instead of Xbox One. But each console always has its games, and you know, having to choose, because of course I'm like a college student, I don't have any money, so you're going through like spending the money on this laptop, which is, a gaming laptop. You can imagine is a ton of money, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but a gaming laptop, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like, just imagine how much it costs to buy like a laptop and then add like $1,000, and that's probably around the cost of a gaming laptop. You can get some stuff for cheap, and there's some good ones out there, and the one I'm getting is actually a brand new laptop, which is why it's so amazing that it's so cheap. And also it's really just the fact that they're doing the sale, so a lot of the stuff that I have is really like free upgrades compared to what I would have been paying. So I probably am saving maybe around $100 or more because of the sales that they're doing. So that's really great, and I'm hoping I can actually get this money before the sale disappears, and then I'll be really sad I couldn't get it for the lower cost. But having these games on these different consoles, it's one of the big things that it's an industry thing, and this is true for not just games, but for anything that makes people money. You have to get the good deals. You have to get like exclusive contracts and things like that, and just all sorts of things. And it's a cool thing for the business people, and in some aspects it's cool for the consumers as well, because if something is specific, like a game is exclusive to one console, then that it's going to be really good for that console. At least the thing I'm thinking of in the, for like the main component of it, at least, would be graphics wise. One of the big things is when you don't have to worry about going from one specification on this console to another set of specifications on another. You get to just focus, and it's just, you can make the best thing on this one console. And a great example of that is Nintendo with their own games, because they kind of screwed people over with the Wii, and that's why a lot of games kind of sucked on the Wii, visually speaking, not game wise, although there were a billion terrible games on the Wii, because they let everybody make games for them. Like, you could, if you want a game for any TV show, you can get it on the Wii for like $2 or something. I remember I was with my friend at GameStop. This had to be 2 years ago or something, and we were just in GameStop walking around. We looked at the used games, and there was a used Wii game that was seriously $2, and it's just Wii shovelware, and that's what it's called. It's like just the mass of crap on the Wii system. And they have some good games, and to kind of actually get back to my point with the good graphics, is that they have their own games, which are Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword, the Mario Galaxy games look unbelievably amazing on the Wii. And then you have games like the Call of Duty version, on 360 and PS3 looks amazing, and then you get the Wii version, and it's like, this crap can't even support two actual people. It's like one person controls the character, and then another person is just basically their left hand. Like, you both shoot. Like, one person actually walks and shoots and does everything, and the other character just randomly shoots. And it's crazy. Like, I'm sure it wouldn't be able to do anything and everything. Of course, the 360 and PS3 could. But if Nintendo kind of loosened up, I guess, a little bit on the reins and let people really dive into their technology on the Wii, games would have looked so much better. We wouldn't have a billion crappy looking games. I mean, like I said, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, both those games look like they're flat out 1080p video games when you look at them, and they look amazing. They have amazing detailed graphics. As far as Mario goes, they kind of played around with it where it was detailed, but at the same time you could tell where certain things were gone. There weren't like super amazing detailed rocks or anything like that, but they did it right. They made it look amazing, and the characters look unbelievably great. And once again, same on the Wii, Smash Brothers looks really great too. And it's like, if they're making it, it's like, we can make it look almost 1080p. But for everyone else, it's just like, yeah, just put the game on our system so we can make more money. And that was pretty much it. And that's why we got a lot of crap. But fortunately, we have the Wii U now, so full 1080p graphics and stuff. And that looks amazing. I played Super Mario 3D World, which is a great game. It's kind of cool that they kind of took stuff from Super Mario World 2, or Super Mario Brothers 2, sorry. And they basically took all those aspects and put them into the new Mario Brothers game, or Super Mario Brothers 3D World, whatever. And it's just really fun to play. Like Peach actually floats and stuff, and now all those really big things that are now traits in the Mario franchise came from Super Mario Brothers 2, which technically isn't even a Super Mario Brothers game. It was just like a completely different game called Doki Doki Panic, and they just reskinned it for Mario Brothers because I guess us Americans are too weak to handle real Super Mario Brothers 2 because it was too hard. So it's funny how we have all these traits in the Super Mario world and all these unbelievably popular characters that are in the Mario universe now. And really, they were made for a completely different game that was kind of just taken and reskinned to be the new Super Mario Brothers. So it's kind of funny, but all those aspects, like Toad being the fastest in it, is in there. Luigi has like the high jump, of course, so that's in there. Peach float. And then Mario's kind of just the normal character, admittedly. He seems kind of normal and boring in comparison to everyone who has these special abilities, especially Peach, because there's so much stuff you can do with her floating. Like you can drop and then float, and it's like, oh yeah, made it to a secret area. But the game looks unbelievable. I played like Mario Kart 8 and it looks really great. And unfortunately I don't of course don't have a Wii U, so I haven't played a ton of games on it. But the big thing that came out initially when the Wii U was first coming out was like Zombie U. I wanted because I love zombie games. And then Wonderful 101 is a great game, and that's made by Platinum Games, which is the studio that made Bayonetta. So I was excited when that first came out, and it was like, it looks really cool. I still want that game. If ever, whenever I do get a Wii U, I'm going to definitely pick up that game. There's a new game coming out that seems like it's going to be really cool. I remember from E3, and it's just like a 4-player paint game, basically, and you kind of just, the whole point is just shoot the ground and cover the map in your paint. But there are so many cool dynamics in it and stuff, and it just seems like a really silly, great time multiplayer type of game. And it's kind of like, I don't want to say the shooter version of Super Smash Brothers or anything, because it's not as deep or anything like that, but it is a shooter game, and it's like kid friendly because it's all paint and stuff. But you have these cool skills where it's like you can turn into a squid, you move fast through paint, but if you're in your human form, you don't move fast through the paint. You can't turn into your squid form if it's the enemy's paint. So if you're blue and they're green, you can't turn into a squid in the green paint. You walk way slower if you're in their paint again. And you have like mines that use up more paint than just shooting a bullet. You have like special tornado moves and all this stuff. And I'm really excited for that game to come out. I haven't heard anything about it since E3, but that was like the big thing to me on the Wii U. It was like, that seems like it's going to be like the new big thing once it does eventually come out. But I really do want to see more games that are on all consoles. That's one of the big things that I really enjoy, because having that option for gamers is something that we enjoy. Like, I can say that personally for myself. I know there are a ton of people out there that enjoy that as well, where you don't have to have this, and it's like, crap, I love that franchise, but I can't possibly get it on this system because it's exclusive to this other system. But sometimes that's just how it works in business, and you kind of have to be like, well, I'm an Uber nerd, so I have to buy them all anyway. But I don't, as much as I do love video games and I don't really mind it too much, of course, it's always easier to just buy one thing. Like, if every game was on every console, it would be interesting to see who would really win in that regard. Like, would the Wii win because of the simple motion controls and what little things they change around in the gamepad? Would the PS4 win because of better specifications, or would the Xbox One win? Things like that. I'd be very curious to see. And of course, you can always test that on certain games that do just come out, and there are some things where it's like it comes out on at least 2 of the 3 consoles. But of course, for instance, Call of Duty, that's, even though it's a multi-platform game, it always comes out on Xbox first. That's always been the thing since, I think, like Modern Warfare 2 probably. It's like, if you get it on Xbox, you get all this stuff. You get the same stuff, you just get it first on Xbox. So there's really no big difference, but I do feel like that does make a difference. If some people have a PS3, or they had a PS3 and 360 at the time that some of the Call of Duty games came out, I do wonder if it made a big difference in sales for Xbox. And of course they feel it does, so it kind of must, because they still do it every single year, and they did it again this year with Advanced Warfare. So it's very interesting to see those type of things in the gaming world, and just how the gaming industry as a whole works. And something I was looking at earlier was Assassin's Creed Unity, and how this was an old video, but I didn't know they were doing this. So I looked at this video, and it's for Assassin's Creed Chronicles, and it takes place in China, and this was the big thing. A lot of people wanted it in China or Japan because everyone wants ninjas and stuff. But this game takes place in China, and it was announced as DLC along with some other story-based things before Assassin's Creed Unity even came out. And a ton of the comments are just like, oh, this is stupid, they're, money grabbers and stuff, they're just being super greedy and they suck as a company. And they're, of course, talking about Ubisoft. And then, every once in a while you get one of the admittedly smarter people who actually know how the gaming universe works, and it's that despite the fact that there are things where it seems kind of crappy, like, oh, they're announcing DLC for the game before the game even comes out, people instantly assume that that means the game should just come with all the DLC. But even in the video, it's like people don't really listen to the words they're hearing, because they say, like, this is some of the footage that we actually have to show you guys. Like, there's not a lot to show, but this is, like, admittedly, I think it had to have been 15 seconds worth of total footage. It could have been like 20 or 30 seconds, but 30 seconds of footage out of what's probably going to be 3 hours long, and say the DLC is like about 3 hours, just to throw the number out there. That's not a lot to show you. There's so much more that goes into a game than being able to show people, like, here's some cool looking footage, and of course it looks amazing. That's the footage they chose to show. So of course it looks unbelievably well done, and it looks like the game's already finished. That's the point of showing pre-alpha footage, but it looks really good. The point is to show it off. Just like any trailer for literally anything that's shown in media, the point is, this is the footage that we have completed, but for the most part, this is really all that's done. We probably have like 8 minutes extra that's even remotely close to this. But in the gaming world, that's how things go. They finish things, and we are in a world of DLC now where games can create stuff later, and it's like, oh, here's downloadable content for this, and there's some stuff that they could easily create that could be in the game that is admittedly just business-based stuff, like having items in the game. That's something that they could easily do, and the whole point of the video is to say, like, hey, we finished Assassin's Creed Unity, we finished making it, we're polishing it, which is something people do. That's what you do in the gaming world, and in any world. I mean, heck, movies do that too, and TV shows. It's not like anything is just filmed like the day before and it's all done. You finish that stuff months in advance, and then you basically spend the rest of that time editing and making it perfect, so that when it comes out, it's not a piece of crap, and it's not just, oh, here's that pretty stuff, and then everything else looks like crap compared to, what the trailer showed you. But, like the point of that video, and they say it in there, like, once again, we finished it, we're polishing it, and here's some stuff we're working on as well. And one thing was like a story, a DLC with the main character, and it takes place after the game. And another was kind of like its own thing, where it was Assassin's Creed Chronicles, and that's the game that takes place in China. And people kind of were mad at the fact that it's only like 2.5D, which is, it has like 3D aspects to it, but for the most part it's just a side-scrolling game. And it looks really cool, it looked amazing. It was very interesting to see that they took it in a new direction for this little game, where the art style is, because it takes place in China, the art style is very artistic, and it's like brush strokes and things like that. It looks really, really pretty, and it looks like it's going to be pretty cool to play. And I haven't looked up any footage. It's probably not even out yet, because of course the game just came out like, I think 10 days ago. So the DLC isn't out yet, but they've been working on that and stuff. And like I mentioned before, the comments are just like people berating them for having DLC being announced. And that's just a normal thing. You can have content that you're going to announce, and granted, of course, we all want the game to just have everything at once, but that's not how the world works. And paying $60 for a game, or $50, I think the games on the Wii U are $50, honestly I have no clue, but paying whatever it costs for a certain game, there are moments where it's definitely not worth it, and you'll know because you'll hear the reviews like this game should have been like $20 instead of a full retail game, or instead of even being $40, it's something like that. But for a franchise like Assassin's Creed, I think that I would personally say Ubisoft knows, they know what the heck they're doing, because they've had games every year. There's stuff that people complain about, especially this year with them coming out with two games at once. It's like, why didn't they just focus on Assassin's Creed Unity and stuff? And I've heard some things about it. Like, I've heard it was actually I heard it was pretty glitchy and stuff in the beginning. And that does happen sometimes. Even with polishing, you will screw up a lot, especially in giant games like that where it's open world. But they always seem to spread themselves out with what they're doing, and I think personally I don't want to say it's a good business tactic. Well, admittedly, it is a good business tactic because you make more money that way. But as far as people being alienated, I don't think people are. People feel alienated because they kind of assume a lot of things about the gaming industry, and it's people that love games, and of course I love games. That's pretty much most of my life is video games. I don't just look at it, I'm not like just, oh, I love video games and that's it on the surface. I want to make games. I look into the industry stuff. I learn things about the industry and the actual ins and outs of what goes down, and the quote unquote boring stuff that happens in the gaming industry, the real work stuff, and not just I wrote the script for a game and it was amazing. I don't just look at that stuff. I look at all the real stuff because that's what I want to do. I want to really make video games. So, when I see comments and people just assume that they know the gaming world just works like this, and it's like, you're putting the game out, then you should be able to put all this stuff out. The point of that, to have these trailers is to let people know this is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to make amazing for you guys. And, this is the full game. And granted, there are moments, like I already said, there are definitely moments. And one of the moments, even in the Unity thing, that I can call out is the fact that they're making DLC for the items. And for that, I do think they could easily just put that in the game, because you can. It's just items. And, if they wanted to spend more time on that, they easily could. But once again, like, looking at it realistically, despite the fact that they could do that, they do still have to spend that time on polishing the game. Like, you can finish the game and you will still have a ton of work. Like, finishing a game is totally different from being able to release the game. Like, they're two very, very different stages. You finished it and you have your sound, you have your story, you have your cutscenes and your actions and all that stuff, but you have glitches like you wouldn't believe. You have an open world game, and people need to be able to walk through this world and not fall through the ground or walk through everybody, or have bullets fly through walls and kill them. Stuff like that is what you have to work on, and you have multiple teams, but it doesn't mean you have enough people. And it's just something that I feel like a lot of people don't truly recognize in the gaming industry, that it's a lot more than just, we made it, it's done, and then we made DLC just to charge you guys more. There's some stuff like, day one DLC, without a doubt, if they did that for Unity, then there would be nothing to it. It would just be like a money grabbing thing. Like, EA is, of course, like the big company that does that. They did it with Mass Effect 3, I remember. It's like, day one DLC means that it's done. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we released it, a week later. Even a week basically means, like, you could definitely go in and just be like, all right, just put this in on the CD and you're done. But sometimes they just, that stuff doesn't happen, and it's not exactly Ubisoft itself, or even BioWare, who chose to do that. Sometimes, and this is a big thing in like the movie and television industry as well, when you have big wigs that say, we need you to do this because we want to make $8.4 more million, you don't have much of a choice, because sometimes you just have to do what they tell you to do so that you can at least have some form of your vision out there. It might not be exactly what you wanted, and it probably is. In the gaming world, I think it's much more so than it is in the movie industry, because there are a lot of times where you hear stories in like the movie and TV industry where they change so many things, it's not what you wanted. But in the gaming world, I don't think we get that nearly as much. And I think the fact, the point of that is that your games are so much broader than like a TV show. Like you have a game these days at least, it's typically around like 12 hours. That's probably the length of a normal game around this time, like 10 to 12 hours. And heck, 10 is considered, like a short game these days, really. But sometimes you have that. Sometimes you have stuff like, Call of Duty where it's like 6 hours long or 4 hours long or something. But we have such a wide variety of things to do in the gaming world. We have such a long span, and there's so much more intricate details where you can have much more freedom than you would if it's like a TV show, and it's like, hey, not only are you making this TV show for our network, but you're using our studios, and you're using maybe our whoever, like I don't really know how it works, but maybe you're using a ton of our resources, so we need to have a lot of creative input here and there and change things around. And that's the type of stuff that happens, and sometimes you can't exactly avoid that no matter what industry you're in. And that's one of the things I think people don't truly recognize in the gaming industry. It's not just the people made the game and then it's done, no big deal, we're releasing what we want to and everything's perfect. It's not like that at all. It's a lot of real legal stuff. And as much as it does suck to have it where some companies do have to or developers have to do things like that, where you can tell it's like, okay, the item thing, maybe it was Ubisoft that made that choice, maybe it was bigwigs, I don't really know. But either way, and of course I keep using the items because that's really the only thing I saw personally where it was like, you could easily put that in the game. It's just like a shirt or a texture over the main character, and switching a lot of different items around, sure, it still takes work, of course. Even the smallest little detail, like putting like a pencil in a video game, is still a serious thing. You still have to put in the physics of that pencil and the dimensions of that pencil. Those things do take time. I completely understand that. And this was I think this was released, I believe the trailer I saw was maybe 2 months ago or 3 months ago. So that was, about 2 months or 3 months before the game actually came out. About a month and a half, I guess, since it came out on the 11th. But, it does suck that does happen sometimes. And we have moments like with Day 1 DLC for Mass Effect, or on disc DLC, which is like the biggest atrocity in like the gaming world, like the Street Fighter Cross Tekken thing. And for any of you who don't know, basically it was like, hey, you have this many characters in the game, you have this many characters that are DLC, so buy these characters from us and you get to play them. You get like, I don't remember how many because I never bought the game, and it was a long time ago, which a long time ago in the gaming world is probably only like 2 years. But the game came out, and I think there were about 4 or 6 characters or so that were locked. And one person found out, like, hey, these characters that they're charging us for as DLC, where you have to spend, I don't know, maybe $10-$12 total, probably more than that because they're actual playable characters, probably around $40. If it was like 6, they probably charge $5 a piece. All these characters are already on the disc. It's not like, oh, here's DLC where you buy these things and it unlocks these characters that were not complete. These characters were completely finished. They were just completely locked in the game, or like locked on the disc. And that was like one of the biggest things, as far as DLC goes. That was one of the biggest scandals that I think we've ever had in the gaming universe. And it's just interesting to have that type of stuff. It fortunately hasn't happened since then, not that I can think of, at least not on disc DLC. There's still been like the really early released stuff where it's like it was only a little bit later, and season passes are a big thing now. Like that's like the big thing now to get. It's like, hey, buy our season pass, you get all this DLC. And personally, the season pass I think was a very interesting invention in the gaming world, because once we entered this point of, hey, we can make stuff after our game comes out, it made sense to say like, hey, buy our season pass for, you say $20, you'll get like $40 worth of content, and it works. Like, I've done that myself. I did it when they made Saints Row 3 when that came out, or Saints Row the Third. I love that game. I thought it was really fun. The DLC came out, months apart and stuff, and it was like, if you buy the season pass, you get all this stuff. And even after the first DLC came out, which was like a story-based thing, and it had multiple missions in it, I was able to buy the season pass even after that came out, and I still got the first one for free. So I always thought that was a great idea. It's like, hey, you get all this stuff. Some stuff is minor, like I got the thing for Uncharted 3 as well. I got the season pass, and that was mostly because I really played Uncharted 3 with my friends online a lot. We play that game like crazy. So I bought the season pass mostly to get the other levels instead of having to pay, like, I think it was like $2 a level or something. It's like, all right, I'll spend this $25-$30, and it was about $50 worth of content. A lot of it was kind of crappy, admittedly, because it was just like a bunch of characters and a bunch of costumes and stuff. Some stuff was really cool. For the most part, it was like, I don't really care about this. Like, the one thing I think I really use out of that is Chloe from the second Uncharted game, because that was like, she had like my favorite costume with like her red shirt. So I think I used that more than anything. But for the most part, it was like, all right, I got these levels. I think there was some other stuff in there too that I can't really remember. There were definitely some other modes that were in there, and there were still some other levels that hadn't even come out yet by that time when I got the season pass. So, I still felt like it was worth it, and I still think that the season pass is a good idea for gamers to get, where it's like, all right, like for me personally, I'm gonna get the Assassin's Creed Unity thing. Like, a lot of people were like, who would be dumb enough to purchase this and stuff like that, and that once again I feel ties back into people not really knowing the gaming industry and just assuming, oh, they're just doing this to make more money, when really it's like, no, they finished the game, they're working on the game, but they finished the main point of the game, and the stuff that they had, DLC is always downloadable because it's an afterthought. That's kind of the point of DLC. It's like, okay, why don't we tell this story? Even if it's in the middle of a game, it doesn't mean that was a part of the main story. It means that's a story they had. It's like, all right, we can't put that in the main game because we already have all these tons of side missions and stuff like that. It doesn't exactly fit, and it's taking, we have a set limit on what we can do and where we can go with this game, or what we, plan to do and where we plan to go with this game. And they do that, and then you have the DLC, you have those sort of, the simplest way to put it, like illustrations for, like, anything animated. You have illustrations, you have characters that just don't work in the main story, and then you create another story where it does work. You work around that initial idea that you had, or you expand on this initial idea so you can make it something that people will enjoy, that's an actual full thing, and not just a random idea you kind of just threw in and admittedly didn't utilize like you guys wanted to, and wasted resources, like adding a character in like one mission and then they don't really show up again, and it's like, we really wanted to do way more, and then instead we just put them in there just because it was an idea we had. That's not what people do. They they use the best ideas, and then they go back and they make the lesser ideas great again. They make the lesser ideas great so that they can be put out. But to kind of get to what I was going to say instead of ranting again, I'm going to be one of the people that buys the Assassin's Creed Unity season pass once I eventually get that game. I don't know when I will, or how long it's going to take, how many years it'll be before I get a PS4 or Xbox One, but I will, because those things don't expire really. You buy season pass, and by the time I end up getting one, it'll probably have like a special edition where I can get Assassin's Creed and just have all the DLC on it. But they tend not to do that for Assassin's Creed games, and I feel like for the most part that's because they release games every year, so they aren't like, all right, let's release Assassin's Creed 4 again and add the DLC into the disc and stuff like that, because it's kind of a waste when they're already working on the next Assassin's Creed game. But I like season passes. I think it's a great idea for games. I think because of the era that we are in now with gaming, it works. It fits perfectly into what we have for games, because companies make their games and then it's like, hey, we have DLC, we have these extra ideas. Borderlands, I think, is the perfect example of that, where if you get the season pass, you get giant stuff. It's not like a little story. And I think that's probably the best example, like the brightest example I could use, because there's other things where you won't get as much extra content if you get the season pass. But Borderlands adds, at least for Borderlands 1, I know they did this, and you basically, for every DLC, you pretty much go to a whole new world, pretty much. Like, you're still on the same planet, but you're in like a whole new section of it. It's basically like you're in another state. Like if you left your home and went from Michigan to Alabama, it's totally different there. So it's like that in the gaming world, which is of course far more entertaining than just going from Michigan to Alabama. It seems kind of normal, but in the gaming world, that's a huge deal, going to like a different section. And in Borderlands, they have that stuff where you meet new characters, or they change characters around and make them really silly, especially for Borderlands they do this. But it's really cool, and they have these whole new sections, tons of content to explore in that, and it makes it worthwhile because you only pay, like I said, $30 or so, and you get all this DLC, which comes with hours upon hours of content, which could have been its own game in itself, with the content they had, at least, because they put so much stuff into their DLC, it really could. But I think season passes are a good idea. I think people should admittedly know more, and that's not just a gaming thing, that's just a worldwide thing. Sometimes you just have to look more into the true details and not just go off half-cocked like, oh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen or heard, and you don't even know all the facts about it. That's not a gaming thing, that's just a world thing. You have to have a bit more sense than to just fly off the handle and say this is really stupid because of this, and then someone smart comes along and admittedly you just look dumber because you just think they're mad at you for nothing, or they're just telling you something and they're stupid, but really it's you, and you have to expand yourself. You have to know more than what you do, because what you know is nothing. You're just guessing and assuming. You don't know anything, and I think that's just something that people have to learn to do. It's a difficult thing, admittedly, because that's just how we are as humans. Some stuff you learn quick, some stuff you don't. Sometimes you're just really stubborn and you're just stupider for that, but it's just one of those things. I've been ranting for a long time now. I've taken up far more than enough of your time. Thank you if you even made it this far. I always wonder how many people actually listen to the end of these, because it's not like I'm popular, so why would a lot of people? But if you happen to do that, please put something down in the comments below to let me know. That would be much appreciated. Of course, if you guys have any subjects that you want me to talk about, nerdy or not, it does not make a difference. Please put those suggestions down in the comments below. Check out some of my other stuff, the other episodes I have, some of my other crazy, silly videos. My reviews are fairly normal, so if you watch the shows that I do reviews for, please check those out. If not, it would be weird for you to do that, because you wouldn't know the story, so it wouldn't make sense. But check out some of my other gaming videos. I plan on having, I've been saying this for months now, but now it's, I finally feel like there's a real hope for me. I will be getting that new laptop, so I will be making a ton of new gaming content. It's been forever since I actually did like a blind memory gaming video. I'm definitely going to be picking those up again and just doing way more gaming videos in general. So if you subscribe to me because of that, or you do like the couple of gaming videos I have, I will be doing those fairly soon, by the end of the year, especially when I get on winter break. Once I'm out of school for the semester, I'm going to be doing videos like crazy off of my PC, because I'm finally going to have one that can play my games at high settings and can actually record. So definitely wait for those, because they're coming out soon. But check out the little bit of stuff I have now, and of course, thanks for listening.